Version 4.1. Initializing upgrades. Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Yes, this is the anniversary episode, and I mentioned on Wednesday I had something special planned. So we're about to go through sort of a best of, where I have clips from some of the most listened to episodes of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, and it will jump, somewhat abruptly from clip to clip, but I'll try to keep, a fair amount of stuff. That way it's not too terribly confusing. Hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. This is a new show that we have on LRN, formerly Voluntary Values, but there's been a slight change. In studio today, it's Darryl.
And Conan.
And Ian.
And Ian has absolutely no clue why he is here.
No, I just walked in the door. I wasn't expecting to be here.
But I will tell you, back in 2009, the FPP Peace Prize was instituted because the Nobel Prize Committee, they have a tendency to award and reward warmongers. So back in 2009, I came up with the idea of creating my own Peace Prize called the FPP Peace Prize. That's why you're here, Ian.
Okay.
Ian Freeman, Scott Horton, and Julian Assange.
What?
You
put me on the same level as Julian Assange.
Of the 2012 FPP Peace Prize.
Well, I appreciate very much the honor, and I don't know what I did for peace specifically. I mean, but
well,
thanks.
the Peace Prize goes to a person or group who actively supports and subscribes to the non-aggression principle. Here are the awards. Scott Horton, yours will be mailed to you. Julian Assange, hopefully I can find an address.
Yeah, where is he right now?
Ian
Thank
Freeman,
you very much.
Display that with pride wherever you wish to do so.
I don't think I've ever gotten a fancy award like this before. Gosh, thank you.
Well, I'm not sure how fancy it is, but it is certainly an award.
That's pretty fancy. Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful for all of the wonderful activists here in New Hampshire that have really made everything that I've done much more effective. I mean, whatever it is I've done for peace, I mean, certainly I get on the air and advocate for it, so I guess that counts. I feel like I'm in the shadow of somebody like Julian Assange, for instance, but nonetheless, I do appreciate the acknowledgement, and it's good to have such a vibrant liberty movement out there, because I'm not just talking to no one. There are people out there listening, and that's important, and I hope that those people listening will take the next step and join the Free State Project and make the move to New Hampshire to get active for freedom, so we can actually achieve more liberty in our lifetime. I just wish more people could see the vision and why it's so valuable to concentrate activism. I think there are a lot of people out there that are new to activism today that don't, they haven't failed enough. And I think that's, somebody asked the question, Ron Paul supporters, why don't you move to New Hampshire? And I think that a lot of Ron Paul supporters are just too new. I mean, they're still laboring under the delusion that they can have an effect where they are. That, if we just, talk about Ron Paul or freedom enough, that our neighbors and friends will come on board, and then we'll be free in Missouri or Texas or California or whatever. And, I wish they were right about that, but it's not that easy.
And before I moved to New Hampshire, I actually supported the idea of every state should be a free state.
It should be.
And I still support that. But right now, it's just not feasible.
No, and I don't blame people for believing that, liberty, it's so great. I'm just going to start talking about liberty and people are going to come on board, because that's what happens when you're new to this, right? Like at least that's what was my experience. Very excited about the ideas. They make sense. They're moral. They're practical as well. And they're consistent. So if you put that out there, why wouldn't people just be, elated to find them? Well, it doesn't work that way. It takes a long time for people to come on board with these ideas. So I don't know about you, but I don't have 5 lifetimes. I want to do something now. I want to have an effect today. And I wasn't having any kind of measurable effect beyond just doing outreach to folks down in Florida, where I'm from, and you as well, Conan. It was good to be there. I was glad to kind of get my feet wet in activism there, but I failed enough times to know that it wasn't going to work out down there. And I'm sorry, but it's not going to work out where you are either. If I'm wrong, please let me know. I know that, the people in Austin think they're going to somehow have an effect against a police department of 1,600 officers. But I'm sorry, I don't think that's a very realistic perspective. I think numbers are the most important thing in any movement. And if you don't have numbers, you won't have influence. And if you don't have influence, you are just a debating club. If you're talking about a municipal election, these things are won by 100 to 200 to 300 votes.
Yes.
So with 20,000 activists moving to New Hampshire, the impact that we can have inside the system as well as outside, I mean, I do civil disobedience and all that too, is tremendous. It's all about numbers. So please go to freestateproject.org and get up here sooner rather than later. Don't waste your time where you are. I mean, it's not a waste to get activism experience and get your feet wet, but then get here where it can make a difference.
So I want to start off with what may or may not be good news for some people in France. Now, what is it, you ask? Well, apparently, according to RT, there are some people in France who are fed up with the euro and have decided to start their own local community currencies. And I like the idea of alternative currencies, but I'm not really sure if these local currencies are necessarily going to be better than the euro. Now, here is the sentence that makes me think that this local community currency in France is not any better than the euro. Listen closely. The value of one pitch is directly tied to the euro at an exchange rate of 1 to 1. Well, one of the people from Le Pitch Monnaie Local Association told RT, the problem with the euro is that it's not just a mode of exchange, but it also became a mode of speculation to feed banks. While local currencies support local projects on the ground, which means it works for us, the people. But I have to wonder if the point of going to a local currency is to get away from the national, or in this case, the official regional currency, which is the euro. Then why peg your local currency directly to the other currency that you are getting away from? You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. So, I've been talking about Bitcoin. It started off by reading an article from recode.net that says that some company called Stripe, which is a payment processor, will allow people to use Bitcoin. Well, and now, it's not technically now, but last week, the IRS issued a ruling on Bitcoin as far as how Bitcoin should be treated for tax purposes. Now, you may remember that it was roughly 1 year ago that FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, they also have I don't know if regulatory oversight is the correct term, but if you go to their website, which is fincen.gov, and then click Financial Institutions, they have a category for depository institutions. They have a category for casinos. They have a category for money services businesses. They also have a category for precious metals and jewelry dealers. The precious metals and jewelry dealers are not part of the money services businesses. And according to the IRS, precious metals are treated as property for taxing purposes, meaning that if I give you an ounce of gold on, let's just say today, I give you an ounce of gold on March 30th, and you keep this ounce of gold, and on December 31st, you still have the ounce of gold. Well, the IRS wants you to calculate the price difference between what the gold is today and what it is on December 31st. And then the IRS wants you to calculate either the capital gains or the capital loss that you have accrued. If you have a company to where you sell silver or gold or jewelry or any other precious metal or even gems or stamps, you are not required to register as a money services business. But FinCEN wants people that transact with Bitcoin to register as a money services business. Well, the IRS has come out and said that Bitcoin is not currency, that Bitcoin is property, just as gold and silver and stamps and gems are property, that you should calculate the capital gains or the capital loss of your Bitcoin. Business Insider has found someone that they call a Bitcoin tax expert. His name is Tyson Cross. He says that this will create a significant burden on Bitcoin users, as every transaction they make using the digital currency will have to be reported in some way. He says that would not be the case if Bitcoin had been declared a currency by the IRS. And had the IRS declared it a currency, that would have been consistent with the FinCEN regulation. There's a report from Reason.com that says that Ann Musser from Holyoke, Massachusetts, was arrested and spent 4.5 hours in jail because she was late in paying her $5 dog license fee. And this, again, from Reason.com, the article says, well, actually, as Holyoke City Clerk Brenna McGee assured me, Musser was actually arrested for an outstanding warrant for failure to appear in court over the late $5 dog license fee. She was a little preoccupied with ovarian cancer, which may explain why she put an administrative fee on the back burner. But then it's common practice in Massachusetts to refer people to court after they've ignored or simply missed notices of tickets for even the pettiest of offenses. And since petty offenses have proliferated, including the non-payment of fees for the most mundane activities, court referrals and encounters with the police over BS are not uncommon. Musser and her husband are also repeated offenders, according to the city clerk in Holyoke, Massachusetts, referring to the dog license issue. This, according to Miss McGee, tickets are marked very clearly that if no payment is received within 21 days, the ticket is then sent to the court. Musser told the local newspaper called The Republican that she paid the $5 license fee and the $25 late fee, but only after court proceedings had begun. She claims she attempted to appear in court and cooled her heels in a crowded courtroom for 3 hours, but left after her complaints that seating a woman with a faltering immune system in a crowd might be less than brilliant, and that fell on deaf ears. Not that it matters. Let's not forget that this was supposed to kill a day in an institutional room because she failed to pay for permission to own a dog. The situation would have been ludicrous even if she were perfectly healthy. Speaking of revenue, there may be a bit of incentive to proliferate those petty, annoying ordinances and send defaulters courtward bound. To be clear, Brenna McGee isn't the villain, just the city clerk kind enough to answer questions. Now, the reason she sat there for 3 hours is because the courts are full of asinine things like this, things in which there is no identifiable victim, things in which basically it's a form of revenue generation. Let me just go back over the list of what the town clerk said that people wind up going to jail, or rather wind up going to court for not paying. A possession of marijuana ticket, which in Massachusetts it's a ticket, not like a misdemeanor. Loud music. Emptying of bulk waste before 7 a.m. 7:01, it's okay to empty your bulk waste. 6:59, nope, you're getting a ticket. Motorized scooters, animal waste, shopping carts, and yard sales. It's crazy. Stay tuned. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. During the 2013 Porcupine Freedom Festival, Davi Barker presented an idea for a renegade psychological experiment. Since then, he has refined his idea and put his plan and research into writing. He explains, "We aim to show the world beyond a shadow of a doubt that power corrupts absolutely and corrupt authority deserves no obedience." Authoritarian Sociopathy is available from Amazon.com, all major bookstores, and now available as an audiobook. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
You know how sometimes you'll see something where somebody will post something that says, "My child brought this home from school," and you're never really sure if it's real or not. Well, this was one of those things. It was how to be a good citizen. And so I looked at it, and it's an image where presumably someone scanned in this image that was sent. I'm guessing it was a document sent home with a child. I don't know how old the child was, but you know, this document at the top, it says "being a good citizen," and then it has a child's name. The name of the little girl is Emma. So it says "being a good citizen." It's written by Phyllis Nageli, and it has a website URL called edhelper.com. And so I went to the website, and I was able to find the first 3 paragraphs on the website. But let me read you some of what is written on this document that presumably is being given to, I'm guessing, like, you know, kindergarten, maybe first grade. It says, "What is a citizen? If you were born in the United States, you are a citizen. That means you are a member of our country. Sometimes people who are not born here want to become citizens. They do this by asking the government to make them a citizen. This is called naturalization. As a citizen, you have privileges called rights." Yes, it actually says
you have privileges called rights. Rights and privileges are not the same thing, and I don't know if the person that wrote this understands that, or if the person that wrote this is intentionally trying to indoctrinate the children into believing that a right and a privilege is the same thing. Paragraph 2, the government protects those rights. In our country, you have free speech. You are also given the right to choose a religion. In America, the press is free to tell you what is happening in the world. The Bill of Rights lists the freedoms given to citizens. These rights are very important. Many people in the world do not have freedoms like we do. Yes, the press does get to tell you what's happening in the world, but the press also has the freedom, at least supposedly, has the freedom to tell you what your own government is doing, if you believe that it actually is your government. I don't think it's mine. I don't claim it as mine, and I wish that they would stop trying to say that they represent me, because they don't. Because of weird legal things that they have written down, they don't recognize that I don't want them to, be involved in my life. So paragraph 2 continues. It says, the Bill of Rights lists the freedoms given to citizens. It doesn't say the Bill of Rights lists some of the freedoms that the government is supposed to protect. This claims that the Bill of Rights lists the freedoms that are given to you by the government. It totally ignores that the 9th Amendment says that rights not enumerated does not mean that other rights don't exist. And the 10th Amendment says that rights not given to the federal government reside in the states or the people. Now, most people only think of 10th Amendment, oh yeah, that's states' rights. But it also says the last 3 words of the 10th Amendment, or the people. That means you and me. So just because they don't write that you have, Congress shall make no law infringing upon the right to breathe air, that means you have a right to breathe air. It really irks me when people make the claims that the government gives you rights and you only have the rights that the government lists down on a piece of paper that they recognize as giving you. Paragraph number 3. Because the government protects our rights, we have the duty to be a good citizen. But what does it mean to be a good citizen? How can you be part of giving back for the freedom you have? Paragraph 4. Being a good citizen means you show your love to your country. You can do this by being courteous to the symbols in America. Singing our national anthem and respecting our flag are ways to show how much the United States means to you. So basically, if you don't sing the national anthem, if you don't say the Pledge of Allegiance, and if you don't, worship this basically a piece of cloth that has stars and stripes on it, then by golly, you hate America, and most likely you deserve to die, because that's what America does to their enemies. It doesn't say that necessarily in this, but all you need to do is actually pay attention to what really happens with the federal government and see that whenever there's, a country or even a group of people within the United States that speak out, and they do so in very public ways about things that the government is doing, those people generally wind up getting killed. Paragraph number 5. Being a good citizen also means obeying the laws in your community and school. Laws are made to help you and keep you safe. Obeying the laws also shows your respect for others. You can also treat people with kindness. Being friendly to those who are different from you is also part of being a good citizen. Perhaps there is someone new at school. One way to be a good citizen is to be welcoming to that person. Oh, you mean people that come here from Mexico and Central America to try to have a better life? We should be nice to those people, and we should be welcoming, and we shouldn't treat them differently because their pigmentation's a little bit darker than ours, and they might not speak perfect English. Unless you're a Republican, in which case, no, you shouldn't be nice to those people. You should wind up wanting to deport those people. And if they live in the Middle East, then you're supposed to want to drop bombs on them because
of all of the U.S. policies that have affected them, they wind up not liking us. People understand I'm not being a collectivist.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com.
Hi, this is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
It seems as though a lot of people don't really practice what they preach. So being a good citizen means treating people with kindness, being friendly to those who are different from you. And it seems that that's not actually what the people in charge actually do. But they want you to do that. They want you to obey. They just don't want to follow the rules that they have put in place for you. Paragraph number 6, good citizens take part in their community. They give to the poor. They help clean parks. They keep up to date on current events. Then they help whenever they can. Now, I can't really argue with, cleaning up parks and giving to the needy. But that doesn't make somebody a good citizen. That makes them a good person. Number 7 on the list, someday you will be given the right to vote. This is an honor. Number 8 says when you begin to work, you will have to pay taxes. Taxes help run our country. Roads, schools, police forces, firefighters, and government workers are all paid from taxes. However, roads are paid for from fuel taxes. Schools, for the most part, are paid for from property taxes. Police forces, they generally wind up getting paid for at the local level through either, some sort of property tax, sales tax, or the fines that they wind up collecting because they're really just revenue generators. That's what cops are. They're not there to keep you safe. They're there to collect your money when you do something they don't like. Number 9, being a member of our country is a wonderful privilege. When you work to be a good citizen, everyone benefits. No, they don't. The only people that benefit from you being a quote-unquote good citizen, as they describe in this document, is the people in charge. The people in charge. One of the earlier things, it says obeying laws. Being a good citizen means obeying laws, which means that if the government tells you to help capture and return fugitive slaves, and you don't do that, well, by golly, you're not a good citizen. You know what I say? I say you have no moral obligation to follow an unjust law. I'm not the only one that says that. Martin Luther King said something very similar. There was that Catholic guy that I can't think of his name, St. Augustine, I think, and then there was somebody else, and then Gandhi said something similar. There are thousands of examples throughout history of horrible laws that people followed because they wanted to be quote-unquote good citizens. That's how you wound up with the Japanese Americans in internment camps in 1942. That's how you wound up with millions of Jews being gassed to death in Germany. That's how we wound up with slavery for so long. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online, fppradio.com. Find me again in a couple days. Don't forget, Wednesday, AMA.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.